I think one of the most frustrating things for me in regards to just racial relationships, period, um, not just here in the United States, because that's where I am. I'm broadcasting to you live from the United States of America, but also just even like in places that whites have colonized. Specifically, I'm going to talk about Africa. Is the frustrating thing for me is just how whites have trying to remove themselves from any blame for any of the racial tensions that have gone on, economic disparities between whites and particularly blacks that have gone on and occurred, any injustice. I'm not going to talk about civil rights. Forget civil rights. I'm talking about human rights. Because black people, we fight for civil rights. Everybody else has human rights. So when we talk about human rights, when we talk about all of these different things, the whites today, the the millennials, Gen Zers, Gen Xers, even, and even baby boomers, they try to remove themselves and try to say, well, you're holding on to something. I didn't do that to you. I didn't do that to you. So why are you complaining to me about it? Well, and then they get frustrated when they see the protests going on. They get frustrated when they see, um, the blacks continually complaining, quote unquote complaining, because that's how they view it as blacks. I'm a black person. We just complain about everything, and they didn't do anything, and they're just as much of a victim of capitalism or society or whatever it is as black people are. They don't look at it from the perspective of the sins of the father. And that's what I want to talk today about. This is going to be very short. Mm, Short is subjective, shorter than what my typical posts have been. Um, but the sins of the father are very real. And the one thing that whites have got to start contextualizing, stop looking at it from a present day perspective. If anybody that they want to be mad at, if there's anybody that you want to be mad at, the next time you start wanting to be mad because you can't call a black person the N word, or because you can't make a joke and call a black person a monkey, or refer to them as a monkey, or show a picture with a monkey and a black person in the same picture, or in the same context, or in the same sentence, or whatever. The next time, you start hearing about Africa want to reallocate the wealth that some of the whites have. And I'm going to be honest with you, Africa should. Because Africa should take some of the wealth from those whites and reallocate it. There's no other way that you can, correct the wrongs of history without reallocation of wealth. Specifically, I'm talking colonization in Africa, reallocating that wealth and reparations here in America. So when you start hearing about reparations and you start hearing about or seeing protests on TV and people just, going crazy and, acting out, when you can't use specific words, because they've been labeled negative words, when you can't, say particular words that you think are just common everyday words, but they're offensive to black people. You calling somebody a boy. Anytime you start getting mad, don't direct your anger towards black people, white people. You need to direct them towards your own people. I know they're dead and gone. Racist Thomas Jefferson, racist Abraham Lincoln. Yep, he's a racist. Racist George Washington, and all those other your fathers, not my forefathers, but your fathers. And we can go down the list and just start naming people. It'd be too many to name. All of the racists throughout history. So anybody that you want to get mad at, you should be mad at them. Don't be mad at us. You can even get mad at the Portuguese, get mad at the Euro, the quote on the Europe. You're European too, but the Europeans that stayed over in Europe, get mad at them. They started this whole colonization and this whole slave trade. You participated in it, but Portuguese, they took it to the next level. They put slavery on steroids. You should have been like, damn, we could have built all this stuff ourselves and saved ourselves the trouble and headache of bringing tens of millions of black people over here. And now we got to deal with them. If there's anyone that you want to be mad at or that you should be mad at in 2020, it should be the white Christopher Columbus. You could probably throw him in there, possibly. You know, not to say that he was involved in this, but he was involved in the indigenous Americans' plights. So, you know, you've also got an issue with indigenous Americans, the natives that's been here. Anytime you can't use the Washington name, they have to change their name, and people are mad and, you know, frustrated that that name symbolizes pride to us, but it doesn't symbolize pride to Native Americans. And so when you start having to be inconvenienced by other racial groups, particularly Native Americans or indigenous Americans and blacks, and you having all of these problems and swirl with these groups, they're disrupting your workplace and you have to cater to them and create policy around promoting and hiring non-whites and all of this other stuff. You should be mad at your forefathers. They started it all. They created all of these racial, be mad at the Jim Crow people who created all of this stepping and fetching, this coonery, the blackface. Now you can't even dress up in character and put darker makeup on your face because now you're accused of black. Don't be mad at us. Be mad at your forefathers. The sins of the father are very, very real. And you just can't start looking at things from a 2000 and whatever, 2025, 2024, 2020, 2001. You can't look at it from a current day perspective. You have to look at it from the past 500 years, 600 years, whatever. I don't know how far you're going to go back, but go back as far as to when the institutionalism of, I'm not talking not just slavery, I'm talking about the genocide of Native Americans. That's where we can start there. The genocide of a whole entire group of people, indigenous Americans. And then you worked your way into saying, hey, we screwed them over, and now let's screw over another group of people. All for the sake of progress, your manifest destiny, as you would so say. You have to be mad at your forefathers. Don't be mad at anybody else. So the next time you see a protest going on, whether it be in Minneapolis, whether it be in Los Angeles, whether it be in DC, and you have to drive over a Black Lives Matter written prominently on your street, and you have to deal with Black Lives Matter's t-shirts and face masks, and you have to now deal with the new Washington, I don't know what they're going to be called, the Warriors, the Red Hawks, the Redwood, whatever the world they're going to call themselves in the future. The announcement is supposed to come down, I think, today. But the next time you start looking at how your life has been inconvenienced and changed and it's hurt you, think about your forefathers. Give them a middle finger if you have to. Cuss them out. Hey, they dead and gone. They probably can't hear you. If they can, they in another realm, so it doesn't matter. But be mad at your forefathers. Don't be mad at us. You know, we just react to what's going on in society, but when you have to deal with the repercussions and the impacts of it, the person that you shouldn't be mad at is us. The person you should be mad at is Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, even Abraham Lincoln. I throw Abraham Lincoln in there too, because there's a lot of misconceptions about him. They just deified him. People are now starting to beat him up. They're starting to realize what he's really done and what a racist he really was. And, you know, and that's a fact. But be mad at all of those other forefathers who've kind of bent history and even introduced you having to have forced integration with indigenous Americans and blacks. So this is the Political Brown Kid. I told you I was going to keep it short today, but I'll say this. If you have any questions, comments, hit me up. Like I said, if you have anything that you want me to address, because I'm starting to get feedback from writers, from listeners, and I'm going to post those and definitely start answering some of the questions that you guys have, because it seems like I'm getting some interesting feedback. So definitely send that in to me too. So again, like I said, you can always hit me up at politicalbrownkid@gmail.com, and I'll definitely respond back to you, hopefully. But this is the Political Brown Kid signing out.